These are the keys. You might modify one or two, but do not throw this list out. Do not ignore what we're saying. This is, what did Josh say? The magic. You want to create great teams? This is the magic.
It's not shocking that Bob and I both ended up with the same list because this works. These are the things that work. Bob and I have deep histories of building world-class teams. And the fact that we both have effectively the same list, that means this is the list.
We're not into the game of mediocrity or good. We're trying to create great teams. Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh show.
We're going to take an optimistic view today. It is the beginning of February. That means, optimistically speaking, all of your budgeting season is done. You're lined up. You're ready to go. Continuing the optimism, we're going to go with, you have teams to hire. You have budget to spend to accelerate your team and grow. And that can be a daunting task. So Bob and I are both very passionate about building teams. And we're going to talk through our top 10 items of things you should be doing to ensure you build A, the best team you can possibly build, and B, as quickly as possible. So that is today's topic. Roberto.
Well, I think you let off a context that you mentioned before. Okay. And one is, we're building teams for, so not only are budgets there, but this is you and I in a greenfield entrepreneurial startup with no constraints, no constraints. Do what you think is the right thing. Right. Take the right steps, take the right actions to build teams. So it's not just an annualized. This is a greenfield, what we think. This is the right way. And I want you to go first, Josh.
I just don't know why that has to be in a startup. Like, it can be in a $500 million company and there's additional budget and we're going to go higher, right?
But there's no, we're not going to take, again, maybe you and I are out of sync. But if HR says you have these rules, and I don't appreciate them, I'm going to ignore them.
Yes, which I would do in a situation
because
like
I'm
that.
Bob Galen, and I'm building a new team, and get out of my way. Get out of my way, buckaroos.
Because we were hired to do a job, and that job is to build world-class teams. So we're going to do that.
Skippy.
Even if we have to work around certain
or ruffle a few feathers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or shoot a few crows. It doesn't matter.
Yes, all of those things. So I do want to challenge those of you that, Josh, Bob, that sounds great. I'm not in a startup. I'm not in that environment. Doesn't matter. You can do this stuff. Bob and I have done it. Again,
oh my God.
What?
Metacaster, stop whining. You're a leader, for Christ's sakes. Come on. If you're a leader, guess what? Lead.
Yes. Okay.
Josh,
so you want me to go first? Is that the request here?
Please.
That's the request on the table. Okay. The number one item for me is hiring for diversity across.
Oh my God. I hate it when this happens. All right. I'm sorry.
Is that one of your things?
It's my number one thing. I swear to God. Go ahead, Josh.
And diversity across all lenses, every angle. Make sure you're hiring junior people, senior people, mid-level people, folks with deep, insane technical background, and some that have become developers or whatever your trade is, self-taught. And that melding, that morphing of, you put all those thoughts, those ideas, you're going to land in a much better spot than if you hire what you to perceive to be all like prototypical computer science PhD rock stars. That may sound weird to you, but you are going to get a better product because they're going to be people that are going to challenge the norm and to challenge the way things are done. And it might be a little bit messier and might get a little tense as discussions and debates go and grow, but that's going to ultimately deliver you a better product. So I always try and make sure that across all the lenses of diversity, experience, backgrounds, age, all of it. Hire as much of it as you can. Sorry for ruining your first one, but you told me to go first, Bob.
I did. And I'm all in on what Josh said, Metacasters. I don't know if there's much I can add. I can add, in this age of DOE not being supported from a governmental perspective, a lot of diversity programs in companies have been undermined. So this is actually, this, depending on your company, this might be a challenge for you, and you might have to fight it through it, or just do it and not. But I agree 100% with Josh. I'm going to lean into age diversity. There's a selfish reason why I do that, but there's also there's a serious reason why I do it. I think we're leaving our older there. I'm encountering a lot of people who, once they approach 50 or so, are seeing age discrimination and sensing age discrimination. So it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a thing, and it is, just talk to folks. We're leaving some of our best on the table, right, or on the sidelines, just simply because of their age. So I want the most diverse team possible, like Josh said, but I want to lean into don't just lean young, don't just lean whatever. I want you to really be sensitive to the best of the best, and that goes in all generations. That's men, women, that's LGBTQ plus diversity. That's everything. Lean into that. I'm going to add something to it, Josh.
Okay.
I want you to hire someone who scares the crap out of you.
Yeah.
I've hired people, and I don't think I've ever said this publicly before. I'm like, what the WTF am I doing? That's the scariest person for whatever reason. They might have an attitude. They might be young. They might be older. They might have a PhD from an Ivy League university, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's going to fit. Oh, I don't know. If you run them through your process and they come out, you hire them. And I know that I'm on that diversity edge if I'm a little bit frightened by the offers that I'm making. I'm like, oh man, this is a risk. Take the risk. Take that risk. You want to be on the hairy edge.
Yeah. As an example, I wanted to hire someone who didn't have a degree at all, because I knew, again, just like Bob said, I put her through my process and I knew she was a freaking rock star. But the CTO that I worked for was strongly against hiring anybody without a degree of any sort. But I knew this person was just going to absolutely crush. So I worked for 6 months to grease the wheels, to do all the things, to ruffle the feathers, everything Bob and I talked about, so that I could hire this person, because I knew she was different than we had ever hired before. But I also knew once we just set her loose, it was going to be amazing. And surprise, surprise, I was right. But it took effort to make that happen. So it can be easy to know there's a great hire there, but it looks different than what the company normally does.
Yeah.
So you're going to get pushback. You're going to get questions. You're going to get challenged. There's going to be so much that goes against you, but inside, this is the right person. Go that extra mile, fight that extra fight to do what you need to do to get that person onboarded, because that first one is going to be the hardest one. But then when you prove that, oh, we can hire, and it looks different, it feels different, it sounds different, and it's actually better, then that opens eyeballs and brains across the company. And now those previous restrictions have melted away, because you've proven that the old way that they wanted to do it, where we had to hire things that looked exactly the same, that puts a real cap on what your teams can do. So you're going to have to be this adventurous soul that's willing to say, we're going to do it a little bit different. And different is always harder, especially when you're leading the charge. But the benefit, listen, there's a reason Bob and I both have this as number one, because we've done this. We've seen the power, we've understood, and we know there is no other way to really build truly world-class teams.
Absolutely. So my number one was diversity. My number two was scares me, Josh. So I put them together.
Okay.
And I really, I mean, and they work together, but I wanted to emphasize that. Something you were saying as you were talking, I thought neurodiversity, Metacasters. So don't be shying away from neurodiverse folks, folks on the spectrum, folks with ADHD. Become aware of that. So when I say diverse, it's everything.
Right.
It's you're putting it all in the pot and you're cooking a tasty Hungarian goulash. I don't know where that came from, Josh.
I
don't
understand what you're saying, but dear Lord, how in the world did you get there?
I don't know. Yeah. Hungarian goulash. Yes. What do you got? Do you want me to go? I'll go with one.
Okay.
My list is I'm going to no AI. Let me repeat.
Oh.
No AI. So I don't want you having HR doing filtering, processing. I want you as a hiring leader to get paper or electronic media CVs. I want you doing the hard work. Maybe HR can do some light filtering for you, but none of this automated crap, none of this AI crap. Do not have AI conduct preliminary pre-interviews with people or interviews. Just don't freaking do it. I want I want you doing your job. I want to do my job to look at people, even if I have to work hard at it, even if my eyes get glassed over. This is people decision making, because I'm looking for the intangibles. And I don't know. I don't even want to argue. Oh, wait, I don't give a rat's patoot, right? I'm going to go through it. Very little automation, very little pre-filtering. I want to get raw paper, and then I want to have phone screens. I want to do it the old-fashioned way. I want to talk to people. I want to touch a voice. I want to get a story, etc. How else can you decide? And you want to get these diamonds in the rough, like Josh was talking about. Someone who they have no university experience, but they're a diamond in the rough. How do you detect that? So I know that sounds extreme, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't think it's extreme. I think the layer I want to add on top of what Bob's saying is, to do that effectively, you have to do what unfortunately not enough leaders do. They don't really deeply invest in their recruiting team, be it internal or external, and educating them what good or great looks like. So sometimes the only tools HR or your third party recruiting team has is AI, because you've given them a job description that's like 3 lines long. So they're doing the best with what you've given them. What you need to be doing is you need to be having deep conversations with your recruiting team. Again, internal, external, I don't care. You need to be having it with them to show them, give them example resumes, example job items in resumes.
Hey, brother. You preach.
Yeah, of this is what good looks like. And then if they ever ship you a resume that is off, don't just say no. Say, no, here's why. These are the things that I see. So because what you want to do is you want to get that vision of what you want to hire. You want to get that in everybody's brains. It's on the front line, the top of the pipeline, trying to find your people. So you need to give them as much context, as much clarity of what good looks like, so that they are effectively empowered to filter for you. Otherwise, they're going to use a filter that's not great, and it's not their fault. It's your fault, because you didn't give them clarity on what you're actually looking for. So spend the time up front and make that happen.
Hold it a second. Yes, and to what Josh said, give them the clarity. It's whose job is it to hire your team? Is it theirs? No, it's yours. Get in yes, do what Josh said, but whose butt is on the line? Yours. Who owns it? You do. Who needs to get in the game? You do. And too many leaders, they sort of, I don't have the time for that. Get the time.
No, this is the top of my I have time for it. This is the top again, because I am a team first guy. I have had the opportunity to do all these things that we're talking about, and I've seen what happens when you put the effort and energy in to building teams, how your culture, your product, your company, everything accelerates because you put that hard work in to build an amazing team built of diverse people from across all spectrums, across all lenses, and just watch them freak out when you do that. Unfortunately, it's rare, but we're here.
We're on fire, Josh. We're on fire. What's your next one?
My next one is, and this is going to be a lengthy one, so maybe it's a couple. I don't know. We'll work through it. You need to make sure that you have a lightning fast onboarding process, because I want them as engaged in the product as possible. And there's a couple things that I do to make that happen. One is, whenever I'm building a new team, it's never 100% new. I seed it with a culture shepherd of which is what I call it. When there's someone from our team that I know gets and believes and lives our culture 100%, so that they can help that new team understand what it means to work here and how we work and the standards and the practices and everything like that. So I try and shortcut that learning method of who we are and how we roll as much as possible. Don't hire a team and just put them over there and expect them to magically become like the rest of your really good teams. You're going to have to invest. You're going to have to plant that seed. So that culture shepherd is who I make sure is always a part of the team, welcomes them, shows them, gives them all the shortcuts, everything along the way to make sure that they get to as effective and as efficient as possible. So there's a couple other things in there. I want them shipping code that matters as quickly as possible. I am not a fan of companies that have a 3-month onboarding window when by the time that's all done, we're going to have you fix a bug. No, we're doing that week 1. We're shipping code week 1 as a group. You okay over there, Bob?
I mean, you're just warming my heart, Josh. I mean, we've worked so long together, and I forget how tightly coupled in many things we are. I'm just like, you're nailing it, my friend. I'm like, go, Josh, go. Yes. First week, first sprint. One of my favorite things is in that first sprint, in the sprint review. I want that newbie having the opportunity to show off something.
Yeah.
And it's the team's responsibility to help them do that. Figure that out. Yeah. Oh my God, how powerful is that? I'll shut up. You got it. Just go for
it. So another part of that onboarding piece is you have to invest in the context, the clarity of what matters, how the business works. So it is not just, hey, here's one of our senior engineers that's part of your team. They really live the culture. They really understand. It's more than that. It's make sure that they have time scheduled with the support team or the sales team or the marketing team to understand how all of that works, why our customers buy what we buy, the type of support issues that we are having, where marketing lands, where it doesn't, so that we can have that context so that all of the micro decisions that are made every sprint, every day, align with all the challenges that are out there to support the rest of the organization. Because there's an unfortunate number of teams that are good from an engineering sense, but they struggle to plug in and really drive value across the organization. And that's because the leadership has not driven that context and clarity into the teams so that they can be as successful as possible. Okay, I think I'm done with that one.
I want to add, so I want to emphasize, and again, I had onboarding, Josh.
Oh, dang.
As one of mine.
You know, what's funny is Bob and I went to breakfast yesterday, and we said at the end, I think we're going to have pretty different lists. And boy, were we wrong. Ugh.
Well, I mean, but I think there's different perspectives. But yeah. I had onboarding. I want to amplify Metacasters, the culture part that Josh mentioned. He mentioned seeding it with someone and trying to create a nugget for the culture, a culture replicator, incredibly important as part of the onboarding process. And that's not something you write down. That's something you experience. That's something someone shows. And then something he did mention as part of onboarding, and it's really not directly for me, I had auditioning. And so what I think of is auditioning someone is an early part of the onboarding process. Like it's pre-offer, it's pre-employment letter, but what you're doing is you're showing them, you're giving them a window into what it would be like. I like to give them a window into the code base. I like to give them a window into pairing with a few people, fix a bug. It is not Metacast. It is not free labor. Do not abuse. If you get something out of them, pay them for it. But this is true auditioning. You're sitting down with your potential team. You're working on a code base. You're using the tool sets that you would be using. You're collaborating with a few people. We are auditioning. We're taking the resume and saying, show me, let's work together. It's as important for the team as it is for the candidate. I want the team to understand what is it, not an interview at a whiteboard. What would it be like to work with Bob Galen? For real. That's a scary thought. And then I want Bob Galen to know what it would be like to work in that team, because so we don't mishire. Oh, you didn't explain that. No, we want to open I have to say it. We want to open kimono. We want a full open kimono and embracing those. So to me, auditioning is that early part of onboarding, and then you build on it as part of the onboarding. And it's crucial. You don't audition everyone. You winnow down. This is a serious candidate. So they're seriously along in the process, but then audition is part of our process. And I don't know if many companies do that. And I'm not talking about looking at their code. I'm not talking about sharing code samples. I'm not talking about whiteboard design activities. That's all good. I'm talking about sitting down in the space, either the virtual space. And you know what? If it's a 2-hour drive, please ask them to drive into the office this one time. See our last Metacast about being in office versus out, because we want face-to-face communication if we can at all get it as part of the audition.
Yeah, one of the common things that is said in our space when hiring an engineer is you would never hire a magician without seeing them do magic. So that's a common thing that drives people. But to Bob's point, there are people that go way overboard. It's like 7 different rounds and all these coding challenges and all these different things. We are not saying that. What I try and do is I try and provide the candidate with a window of what life is going to be like. Whoever they're going to work with, make sure there's a representative from somebody that they're going to be working with on the regular once a week. So if there's heavy interaction with support because they're going to be working a lot of bugs, make sure a support team member is a part of the process for both sides. It's going to be important to make sure both sides are down with that. But as far as seeing the magician do magic, the magic that I optimize for in that process is collaboration. There's a ton of great people writing code. A lot of people can write code. AI writes great code. But what makes magic is the collaboration. So that's what I optimize for in that auditioning piece, is I make sure that they're paired with a couple members of our team and that they can see this is what collaboration looks and feels like. And will that person engage? Can they have a good, healthy dialogue about a difficult problem? Sorry for making Bob cry with this. Making it difficult. And one of the famous things that I do that I've written about, I've talked about dozens of times, is that at some point in that process, when I know they're right, I poke them and I say, I think they're wrong, because I want them to be able to have that moment and think, okay, let me hear what he's saying. Let me process that. And I still think I'm right. And I want them to be able to push back and say, well, I actually believe I'm right, and here's why. And we have that dialogue. I want that to happen because, again, going back to diversity, that's diversity. That's a diverse view of how we solve this problem. And can we take all these lenses on how we think we should solve that problem, mix them up, and in the end, we're going to end up with a better product because we've done that. But if they're not armed or ready or engaged or willing to have that discussion, then they're not the right hire for me, which means I don't think they're going to be the right hire to be a member of a world-class team.
Absolutely. You got to be willing to tell your boss that you're interviewing with, and I'm willing to do this all the time to Josh. You are full of crap.
No, I know.
Right? You gotta have the courage to, not make it up, but to have that passionate debate.
Yeah.
And speak truth to power.
Yeah. And the key is that when you're the boss, it can be scary. So do your darndest to make sure it's not scary, because that's a high pressure situation. Yep. They're nervous. They probably want to work there. Don't scare them. Don't be a jerk about it, but challenge them, poke them, prod them, and see if they're willing to have the discussion and the debate.
And one of the things you can do to sort of create an open environment is wear suspenders and wear a t-shirt and wear a silly hat with a moose on it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Who could be intimidated by me? Certainly not anyone. So, Josh, you're next. What do you got?
As I lamented, I have a relatively shorter list than you do.
Are you done?
I have reached the end. Yeah.
Those are, it's not the number. No, and I'm not joking around. I think we've hit I have one more. And I think we've hit one more, maybe two more. But I think but I think we've hit really important ones, Metacasters. These are crucial. No joke. No, they're hard. It's your job to lead. I'm going to reference something from Ralph Kasuba, a name from my past. And Ralph had something called the 3 A's of interviewing and selecting. Josh has heard this before, not recently. And he called it attitude. And these are in priority order. We're interviewing for attitude, then we're interviewing for aptitude. So attitude is, and I know it's intangible. Positivity would be part of attitude. Do they fit into the culture of the organization? Are they fun to work with? Aptitude, how quickly can they learn? Are they open-minded and learning? And then the 3rd A is ability. They're raw technical skills. Very often people put ability first. Coding, tests and all of this other stuff. Ralph put it last. He's like, if we get the right attitude and the right aptitude, we can teach the skills, and they will learn the skills. And think about a collaborative, agile environment. My God, you're going to slam dunk that with the team. So I would say think 3 A's when you're making, and don't flip them around. It's attitude, aptitude, and I'll make sure I have a blog post about this. I'll make sure Josh has the link and we can add it to this. I resisted that a little bit with Ralph, and we did team-based interviews with that, group-based interviews, whiteboards, design chalk talks, but we also did auditioning around that. But that was what we were looking for was the A's in that order. And it was incredibly important. And I'm going to blend it.
Can I jump
in? Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, so I've done something similar. I'm sure it's inspired by that, so I don't want to pretend that mine is, I came up with this on my own. I certainly didn't. But one of the things is I was working very hard to build an organization that understood what a great hire looked like. I built a Venn diagram that, surprise, surprise, had 3 items in it. One was that they were smart, but what smart meant was that they learned fast. So similar to what Bob said. Number 2, they were a great teammate. Because I build agile orgs, small a, because I build agile orgs, if I can get someone that learns fast and is amazing at being a teammate and working with others, that's fantastic. The 3rd was they get shit done. So number 1, they learn fast. Number 2, they work great with the team. And 3, they ship great value to customers repeatedly. So that's a similar mindset to what I've done. Again, I'm sure it was inspired by that. I never connected the dots. I certainly should have before, but what we did was we had questions for each circle of the Venn diagram, and part of the hiring process was, okay, you are going to figure out how well they learn. These are the questions we do to do that. This group is going to figure out how good of a teammate that they are. Here's styles, approaches, questions that we have. And here's the get shit done piece. You guys are going to figure that out. And here's the way we do that. We had wiki pages and questions and examples and what good looked like. So we worked our tails off to make sure that everybody knew, not only the hiring team, but the interviewing team, everybody that was involved, that was a part of it, understood what that mission was to live in that little center of the Venn diagram.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
okay, Bob, sorry, I just wanted to give another example.
But you
of that.
added flavor, you added zest to it. You added a little bit of panache
Oh yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And no, I'm with you, my friend. We're nailing it. Final thing, Metacasters. Final idea for me. I need a drum roll. Trust your gut. I will say that again. Trust your gut. I have biggest hiring mistakes I've ever made, and I've made some, I'll use Josh's term, doozies in my life. Was my gut was saying, no, you moron, don't do it. And I was like, screw you. This person is a rock star. They're a unicorn. And every time my gut was right. Every time. So you do all of these things. And I think as a leader, you trust, you don't try to create an aggregate gut. It is your gut. Trust your gut. You got all of this good stuff that we're talking about. And then pause and listen. Not your boss's gut, not HR's gut, not the policies, procedures gut, not the too much money, too less money, none of that. Just trust your gut. Because you're trying to build. We're not into the game of mediocrity or good. We're trying to create great teams. And that would be my final point. Josh?
Yeah.
Why don't you bring us home?
I second everything Bob said. I too have made mistakes. I also, and I know Bob has as well, I have had wins when my gut was telling me, hire this person. Even though maybe they didn't check off every little box, and there were others that checked the box off a little bit more shiny or in an exciting way, or some members of the hiring team were more excited about them because they had a checkbox. But I knew inside that this person was a game changer for us. And it was hard to quantify. It was hard to put that down on paper, but I knew. And every time I did that, it worked. And so that further drives home the lesson that Bob and I have both learned the hard way around trusting your gut. Rely on the pattern recognition that you have of hiring for these roles over and over again. I worked very hard with the hiring team to ensure that they were all involved, that they were all engaged. But I had more reps. I had hired hundreds of people to do a job. So I had a lot more mistakes, and I was always bringing new people into the hiring process and making sure they were a part of that and helping shape who our future was. But they also only have a couple of reps. So that means their ability to recognize those unseen patterns and feel that difference, it's not there for them yet. So rely on everything that you've done, on all the mistakes you've made, on all the gambles that you've made that paid off. Rely on those when that moment comes to make that call and trust your gut.
Hey, Josh, I go back to breakfast yesterday, and I think, again, and this was so at the start, this was an opportunity for us to diverge. I really thought we would diverge. How do you feel? I feel like we were converged again.
I know.
And I'm really shocked a little bit by it. I'm shocked and I'm not shocked, but I just thought this was going to be, you were going to have your list, but there was a lot of nice convergence between us. So I'm trying to recover.
So
Do I really want to think like Josh Anderson? I don't know.
I would like to draw attention to that for everybody that made it here. It's not shocking that Bob and I both ended up with the same list, because this works. These are the things that work. Bob and I have deep histories of building world-class teams. And the fact that we both have effectively the same list, that means this is the list.
Exactly.
So listen, learn, take
and
this, apply this.
Quickly, sometimes people think the history here, but you might think that Josh and I have worked together for 20 years or something. We literally worked together for less than a year.
Right.
And then we've Metacast together, and I've consulted with Josh a little bit. We've collaborated that way. But this isn't because we spent 20 years or 10 years at the same company doing the same. To his point, I've been doing this stuff on my own. He's been doing this, and we've been successful. And now, and so it really does say this is the list. And I can read minds out there, and this is where we're going to land it. I'm like Miss Sally on Romper Room. I'm reading a mind that says you guys are so full of crap. This isn't real world, and I can't do it in the real world. And I'm going to crap you back. I'm going to say you have to do this in the real world. These are the keys. You might modify one or two, but do not throw this list out. Do not ignore what we're saying. This is, what did Josh say? The magic. You want to create great teams? This is the magic. And don't ignore the magic. All right. So from beautiful downtown, magical, Cary, North Carolina.
And beautiful downtown, equally magical, Fuquay Arena, North Carolina.
I'm Bob Galen.
And I'm Josh the Wizard Anderson.
Ooh, shake it,
I got him.
Ooh, he did it.